What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we have some Detroit Lions news. The Lions have signed another receiver. Make that number 4, Damion Ratley. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we have some more Detroit Lions news. Now, this is not breaking news. I'm pretty sure this was actually announced yesterday, but somehow I overlooked this signing, and we didn't talk about it. So here we are to talk about it. Let's talk about some Damion Ratley. So heading into this offseason, we're thinking, man, the receiver position is going to be super depleted, right? We're going to lose Golladay, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, then Jamal Agnew. But the Lions said, hold up. Wait a minute, let's fill out that position. And they have. They signed 4 receivers to short-term deals, including Terrell Williams, Brashad Perriman, Khalif Raymond, and now Damion Ratley. So does this mean the Lions won't draft a receiver? No, not necessarily. I don't think they'll do it at number 7, but it does not mean they will not draft a receiver, but they definitely have this position filled out. So there is depth there, and like they told us, they didn't want to have to draft needs in this year's draft. They want to just be able to take who they believe is the best available, basically. Now, there still are holes in the cornerback room, in the safety room, but when it comes to receiver, there's not that many holes right now, but you could definitely improve, but there's not a ton of holes. Now, he has connections with the Lions front office, as he was drafted back in 2018 by the Cleveland Browns when John Dorsey was working there. John Dorsey is now working in our front office, so there's a clear connection between him and the Detroit Lions. In school, he basically said he wasn't sure if he was going to play, football at the next level, and he said most of his high school teachers didn't believe that he could make it. So he set out to prove everybody wrong. That's kind of what he said. He said he set out to prove everybody wrong. He started at Blinn College and then he transferred to Texas A&M. So he went to play with the Aggies. And in his final season with Texas A&M, he put up some really nice numbers. And you could kind of tell what his strength was going to be heading into the NFL. Now, I think this is also interesting. He also played with Kellen Mond. So I'm just saying, not saying we're going to draft him. I'm just saying it is a connection. Probably not, no. Damion Ratley comes out of the draft and, he's kind of like a lot of the other receivers that we signed. He's very fast. We had some good receivers. Golladay, Marvin, these guys were good, but we didn't have that speed. Now we have a lot of speed. Every receiver we're signing has speed. Like if you put all these receivers in a room and you said, okay, what's the one common denominator with all these guys? Well, they're all fast. They're all fast, and some in their own different ways, but they're all fast. And Damion Ratley is no exception. Coming out of the draft at his pro day, he ran a 4.39 40, and he had some really good splits. And then you look at his relative athletic score, it came in above 9. He had a great speed and great explosion rate, and he had good in size and good in agility. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, so that's some solid size. I saw him play a lot at the outside receiver position, but he probably could play a little bit of slot because of his speed. Now, in the NFL, he was mainly a deep threat. That's mainly what he was. And with the Cleveland Browns, like Khalif Raymond, he didn't have a lot of production. 2018 with Cleveland, he had 20 targets for 13 receptions on 11.1 yards per reception. In 2019, he had 24 targets for 12 receptions, 16.7 yards per reception. And last season with the New York Giants, he only played in 5 games, and then he was cut by the New York Giants, where he had 10 targets, 4 receptions for 15.8 yards per reception. Now, he does have a couple of injuries in his past, including a hamstring that he's dealt with in training camp, and also some leg injuries that has caused him to miss some time. But honestly, he just hasn't had that huge of a role. With the Cleveland Browns, you look at 2019, he wasn't behind that many receivers in terms of targets. He was only behind Odell Beckham Jr. and also Jarvis Landry in terms of targets from receivers, but they used their running backs a lot. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and their tight end had more targets than he did. So he was just not a super high, volume guy, kind of like Khalif Raymond also was. But you see the upside because of the athleticism. And when you watch him play, you kind of notice what he's good at, what he's not good at right away. First off, what's he good at? Well, he's got a lot of speed, and he's a deep threat. He's got to take the top off. And I noticed with the Browns, they used him a lot on, like, deep post, deep middle routes, deep ins. I mean, that's kind of where he ate. Beating the zone over the middle, that's where he was really tough. And he has some nice size, so there's a pretty nice wide radius there to throw to. And then every once in a while, they make him go to the outside. But I think you even saw back in his pro day, this guy has, a pretty nice long radius that you could throw to him. I think that's why they played him so much at the outside receiver position. And also, you'll get him involved time to time on those underneath shorter routes because he'll get so much cushion because they're worried about him running by. Perfect example would come against the Bengals when he went by for a huge touchdown in the Browns' final game of the season. He just blew by the defender. He brings that to his game like a lot of our other receivers do. Me and Ratley became a healthy scratch for the 2019 Cleveland Browns when, about midway through the season, they stopped playing him and they started going with Rashard Higgins, who is actually a guy I thought the Lions would target this offseason. At the end of the season, they started getting him involved again. But what you'll notice is with a lot of the targets that weren't completed, a lot of them are deep passes. passes, a lot of deep passes, or really ones that he didn't really have an opportunity to make a play on. I like his ability to work his way back to the football. That is something that I did notice with his game. I think, he's someone that gives a quarterback an opportunity when he's scrambling around to try to make a play on the football. Then in 2020, he wasn't as impactful as the Giants would have hoped, so the Giants cut him loose. Texas brought him in at the end of the 2020 season where he didn't play either, so he was ultimately released by the Texans, and now here he is with the Detroit Lions. Some of his struggles to me at the next level are clearly the physical side of things, just being physical enough to go against bump and run, press coverage, things like that, and when they really get their hands on him defensively, he can really throw him off his route, and I think that's a place where maybe he can get a little bit stronger. He did add a little bit of weight at the NFL level, but maybe even more could be added, and he just needs to continue with his physicality there. He can beat you quickly off the line with his acceleration, but they can really throw him off with his physicality, and that could be a big issue for him, especially when he's playing against those outside corners that are a little bit bigger and stronger. That's where you could see an issue in his game. Now, also, I think as a blocker, he could use improvement there, but really, I like to see, from snap to snap him continue to have that energy. Sometimes he seems to lack energy out there, and he just seems to kind of walk around. Now, granted, the Browns ran a lot of inside run plays, ran it up the middle a ton, which for him, that's just usually a cross block, and that's usually all it is. But sometimes he did lack some energy as a blocker downfield, and you would see him kind of walk to spots. That can't be a thing with the Lions. I'm telling you, it can't. It just seems like the way that the Lions coaches them and talking, it doesn't seem like you'll get away with that. So that's something that has to be, something that's an emphasis on the game. Get stronger, get more physical, but also show me that energy from play to play. That way we can find more consistency with you as a player. I get that can be an issue when you have injuries. He's dealt with groin injuries, not getting time consistently, but it is something that you want to see more consistently in his game. It's really about consistency for me. He'll be running drag routes across the field, and he'll be stay connected with just because the simple fact that those guys will be too physical with him. Now, he's super fast. Once he gets clean, if he gets loose, he can be gone. And for cornerbacks, they really have to get physical with him at the line. The Lions, clearly, they're going the same direction with all the receivers they're signing. They want speed. They want guys that are great on timing routes, can be there where they need to be on time, but also can stretch the heck out of the field and probably just get a lot of separation. It seems like Lions are signing guys that are separation getters, that have some inconsistencies, and that's why they're coming at the price they're coming, right? We haven't signed any receivers to like $8 million a season. They've been cheaper deals. So there are inconsistencies in their play. You can see where the upside again comes into play with his game because athletically he's gifted, and to me he's got pretty nice hands. I see a guy that's got pretty nice hands, can be a deep target, and has some really nice ball concentration, the ball tracking skills when the ball's in the air. He looks like another outside threat that's probably going to fight for the 4th or 5th receiver position behind Tyrell Williams, behind Rashad Perriman, behind Quintez Cephas, probably competing with guys, like Khalif Raymond, Geronimo Allison. Of course, the Lions draft anybody, but they brought in a lot of speed this offseason. There's no question they brought in speed, and there's some impressive parts about his numbers. He's a deep threat. You look at 2019, you see, okay, he had 12 receptions. 11 of those 12 receptions went for a first round. College, he was number 4 in college football with 23.1 yards per receptions. Some of the guys that we brought in don't run extremely well after the catch. He seems to do pretty well with that. He can make guys miss a little bit in space, and he's pretty fast. He's got some really nice acceleration. I saw a nice screenplay, that was ran to him, but really, if he catches it with any kind of space, he can make a nice play after the run. But again, I think it's just very similar to a lot of moves that we've made, right? We bring in guys with speed that are supposed to get a lot of separation for us for a cheap contract. And that's kind of what the Lions said they would do, right? 1-year deals, cheaper contracts, maybe not the most talented guys, but guys that will compete for roles. And he's been through it. Ratley, he shows the impressive flashes, and then at times he kind of gets left out of the mix. And for me, it's just a lot about consistency. It's about consistency when you're pass catching. It's about getting stronger. It's about consistency in route running. That's what he's lacking. He's lacking that consistency, but he has the flashes. Opportunities are going to be tough to come by because if we draft anybody, right, opportunities are not going to be easy. They're not going to be just there anymore, because everybody now is fighting for spots. So I think it's always good to have that competition. Perriman, Tyrell Williams, all of these guys are going to be fighting for spots. Khalif Raymond, none of these guys are going to earn time. And if we draft anybody, all of these guys are fighting for opportunities. And the thing is, he's young. He's only 25 years old. So, he's not like an old guy that we're bringing in on his last leg. Perriman's pretty young. Tyrell Williams, it really isn't that old. If Raymond is young. And now Ratley's young. If you draft one, of course, they're going to be young. All of these guys are young with upside that are going to have to go after and compete and have to find consistency and just be competitors. Just like Tyrell Williams is, according to Dan Campbell. This Twitter, this is what it says. See, you are what you are in this world. You are a somebody or a nobody. Like Frank Lucas. Like, dang, okay, that's kind of like, that's kind of like intense. That's an intense Twitter quote to have. the competitive nature. Now he just needs to find consistency, and some of that has to do with injuries as well. You know, injuries always can be an issue. So we'll see what happens. Lions clearly have depth. They have guys that are going to compete. I still expect them to draft somebody somewhere. I don't think it'll be a 7. I think they will draft somebody somewhere to bring in even more competition. But clearly they're filling out those depth spots, so it's not a need where it's like, okay, we have to get a receiver. They just take whoever they like, and if someone falls that they love, they can take him there and they can go on with it. But I think there's clearly competitive guys here that just have lacked that consistency in the past. Right now, that's kind of what the receiver group consists of, and it should be a fun offseason to watch these guys go at it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Damion Ratley is a Detroit Lion. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.